Well, hello, PMZ agents and soon to be PMZ agents. This is Josh Reeve, Professional Growth and Development. I'm actually coming to you from a hotel room where I'm doing this training, so that's kind of exciting, something different than the norm. And today, what we're talking about is taking a listing. So you get a phone call, you meet somebody, and they're like, "Hey, I want to list my house." Now what? What do you do? And that's what we're going to talk about. So there is a lot of information to kind of capsulize in these few minutes that we have together. But I want to just get started and kind of show you a few things that you can do in order to really succeed when you get that phone call. The first thing that I would tell you is don't freak out. We could get overexcited and ask too many questions and kind of talk a million miles a minute, or we could just totally like shut down and go, "Oh, I don't know what to do." But the big thing is to just real calmly say, "Oh my goodness, thank you so much. I can't wait to talk to you about your home and the opportunity to help you sell your house and to work with you on that." And then it's just going through a checklist of items in order to get the house on the market. So let's talk about that really quick. The first thing that I want to do, if I get a phone call and somebody says, "Hey Josh, I want to sell my house," then I set up about a 10 to 20 minute appointment where I can talk with them over the phone about their home. And I've included the pre-listing questionnaire here on our Dropbox link. I have it up, and it's in your Dropbox link that you can have that we send out to you. And if you click on this Dropbox link, it opens up and it shows the pre-listing questionnaire, the pre-listing interview. And really what this does is it just goes through a series of questions that you can ask the person you're talking to on the other line about their house. It's got, where'd you get it? Was it a source? Is it a floor call? Is it a referral? And if it is a referral, who from? Is it an open house lead? Is it lead generation? Do they call you off your website? Put the source in there so you know where it's coming from. And then it's just going down and filling in the information. One of the things that's really important is right here, other decision makers. Okay, this could be something that if you don't ask the question, it can really get you, because maybe there's a decision maker that we don't see on title necessarily, but they're a chief decision maker in this decision. So it's really important to ask, is there other decision makers in this process? And then you just go down, get address information, get their mailing address, but also their physical mailing address where they receive physical mail. And then you're just asking them questions. Hey, why are you selling? Why do you need to move? Hey, how big is your lot? What's the square footage of the home? Bedrooms, bathroom, all real common ones. I love some of these questions down here, though. I'm not going to go over them all, but one of the things it asks is, hey, what sold you on this house when you bought it? What a great question. That's a highlight. And then another one that it asks is, hey, were there any additions? And on those additions, did you get permits? Happens all the time. People do additions to their house. They finish in a screened-in porch, but they didn't ever get the appropriate permits. Then down here, if you're going to stay in the house for another 5 years, what updates would you do to the house? What a great question. And I like this other question. It says, on a scale of 1 to 10, if you're a buyer walking into your house, how would you rate it? Pets on the property, smokers, smokers on the property. Great questions. And so then ask the question, what do you think you're going to be asking for the property? You can frame that in different ways, but in your way, ask that question, hey, what do you think your home is worth? You know what that does? Is it sets a mindset for you on what you might be walking into in a listing appointment. Their house, when you do comparable sales on the house, it could come up at, say, $400,000. But in their mind, their home is worth $450,000. That's going to be a different conversation than if they think that their house is worth what it really is. So great little thought there. And then asking the question, is there anybody else that you're interviewing for this job? Or have they considered selling it for sale by owner? The back page of this that isn't shown here Sorry about that. I don't know where it is. The second page on this, it also asks a question. It gives an opportunity for you to write some discussion questions, that kind of stuff. But it didn't come up on my Dropbox link. So this is a great way to just get started in the process of finding out information about the house. So you've got the address of the house, you've got what they think it's worth, you've got what they said the square footage and everything is. And then what you can do is once you have that information, you can come over here to your Metro list. And when you come over to the Metro list, you can verify even the information that they gave you. And of course, you can do this before you talk to them, but you can do it after as well. You can begin to verify the information they gave you by looking at the tax records. Okay? Because the tax records are going to show you the lot square footage. It's going to show you how many bedrooms, bathroom, and the square footage of the house. It's going to show you when the house was built. And so you can just verify some of the information that you were given as you log in to Metro List, which apparently it's taking a second for me to get logged in there. The other thing I want to show you is, which I'm kind of jumping a couple of steps here, but I want to remind you again, if I can jump out of this guy, I want to remind you again that on here we have the real estate forms. And this shows you what forms you need in order to take a listing. It's right here. And if you were to, you can blow this up and you can see, hey, these are the forms that you need to do the listing. You need the residential listing agreement, the PMZ affiliated document, the profile sheet, then the coronavirus entry, and then the listing agreement for the coronavirus addendum. There's a new one. It's a fair housing one that's also been added to that. That just happened October 1st, so I haven't updated that form yet, but that's in there as well. So time for us to do some updating. So if we go back here to Metro List and we jump in here, what we can see is you have these tabs across the top, and on these tabs across the top, there's one that says tax. And so you click on the tax records, and you already know the address because you use that pre-listing questionnaire to find it out. And so you just put in the address. My old address was 1805 Fallon Lane. And so if I put that in because it's the address that I was given that I wanted to sell, and I do search, it'll pull up 1805 Fallon Lane. There it is. The new owners are listed there. And then I can scroll down. Well, first and foremost, I can see it's a 4-bedroom. It's got 3 baths, and it's 2,301 square feet. The lot size is 9,766, and it was built in 1972. All information that I can verify after I have spoken with the seller of the house, right? Tells me some other stuff on there, but mainly what I'm verifying right now is this information right there. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll print this report so I have it in my records as a reference. Also, it helps me when I'm filling out my car forms. So that's where you can go and you can verify this information and get everything going. So you've done the pre-listing questionnaire. You've gone to the tax records and you verify that information. Then really your next step is to build their comparative or the market analysis. So you build a market analysis for them, and I generally will do this through going to PMZ Plus. As mentioned before, when I've talked with different CMAs that we can do, there is one in Metro List that we can do. If I jump back here into Metro List, I can see that I could jump in here and I could go to the Cloud CMA. The Cloud CMA is great. The thing that I like about it is it shows you the map and it's got a lot of pictures in it. But it's not the place that I like to land in doing my comparative market analysis because it just doesn't fit me as well. I like the information that our client presentation gives us through the CMA on PMZ Plus. So that's generally where I will go to fill out my CMA. But you could go in here if you want to be more digital and have more pictures. You can come in here, do Create CMA, and start walking through the steps. But what I want to show you is right here and where I'll spend my time talking about, is doing a CMA right here on PMZ Plus. You would go to Client Management, and then you'd click on Client Presentation Creator. From there, you would click on View Available Forms or Layouts. When you first do this, the very first time you do it, you'll have these three that show. FSBO or FSBO CMA, that stands for Sale by Owner. Most of us won't be doing a FSBO CMA because we're not fighting to try to get that. Quick CMA is one that you might use. The one that I really started most of mine with is the all-inclusive CMA. The cool part is after you get in there and you edit the first time, it creates a new template. And as you can see, I've created quite a few templates over my time in real estate. What I need to do is delete. But the one that I'm using right now is this one that's updated template 521.18. You would go in and you could choose your own templates and use these. But this is where I would create my template from. And so let's start with just selecting the all-inclusive CMA. And here it is. It's got all these different documents in it that are going to be automatically put into this. Once you come here, you can go to the different document selections and you can look at the introduction page and you can choose, hey, I don't want this cover page. And you can just simply deselect it. And now it's not going to be a part of your CMA. And then you can just say Save Selection. You can do that with any of these pages in adding pages in or removing them out. Currently, you can see that in the marketing pages, only 6 of 31 possible pages are selected. And it's these couple here at the beginning. But if I scroll over, I could say, oh, wait, I want to use this marketing page. And I can select that one now to be in mine. And maybe I want that one and that one. And all of a sudden, these are now added to my CMA. So instead of it being 6 of 31, now it's 10 of 31. And then I can go ahead and go to the data entry. So this is putting in the information about the client. So just for the sake of it, there we go. Just for the sake of it, we're going to say that the person's name is, let's see. How about John Doe? Real creative, isn't it? We're going to go with John Doe. And John Doe's address will be my old address of 1805 Fallon Lane. And it's in Modesto, 95355. And then right here, you can customize this. And I would really encourage you to take time and customize this to make it be your own. As I scroll down, I would just simply, once I've customized my letter, I would say Next Selection. Right here, you can list any memberships or experiences. Maybe you've had experience with specific types of listings, or maybe you have an extra credential. Maybe you've done your homework and you are a certified specialist in different areas. Maybe you're a leading real estate sales expert. You just go ahead and write that here so that it shows those different experiences that you have. And then you just simply hit Next Selection. We're going to auto-populate from the client's address, and then we're going to click here to create the market analysis. So that house on Fallon Lane, it's already pre-entered, but you would enter it off of the tax record or your pre-listing interview with your client, and you'd say it's a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 2301 square feet. It's approximately these ages year old. It's up to a 1/4 acre. And do you know what an acre of land is? That's right. It is 43,560 square feet. So if the lot is 9,300 square feet, that's less than 1/4 of an acre, because an acre is 43,560 square feet. So it's just doing some quick math in your head. It has a pool, it's 1 story, and then you would just click here to create the CMA. So here is where it gets really important for you to know the neighborhood that the house is in. Because in the Central Valley and in a lot of cities, a 1/4 mile or a block could mean that you're in a completely different neighborhood. So you want to make sure that you're getting the right house. I know that that one on Fallon is a 2,300 square feet. that it's in a nice neighborhood, but it's not in Naragi Lakes, which is really nice, but it's not off of Keller, which isn't as nice. So it's somewhere in the middle. The other thing that you want to make sure that you're doing is you need to make sure that you're looking at the square footage of the homes that are listed. Right here we have homes that are getting close to the square footage of the one on Fallon Lane, and these ones aren't close, so we don't really want to include those. But I do know that this one on Boyce right here is in the same exact neighborhood. So I'm going to go ahead and click this guy on Boyce. And maybe I'm going to click this one that's 2,600 square feet on Nora and this other one on Nora. And I'm going to utilize those homes in my listing. Interesting enough, this one on Breckenridge is pending and I have the buyers on it. Shh, don't tell. So we'll grab that one that's pending. Now when I'm doing a CMA, I just want to be real honest with you. We don't have any actives within a half mile of here, which is kind of crazy. There's no active listings within a half mile of this Fallon house. But I generally, if it's a perfect CMA, I want 3 active, 3 pendings, and 3 solds. So since I don't have any active, I've just picked 4 pendings. And then I'm going to look at the solds. And I want to get near the square footage of the other. So Lakes Harbor is a little bit of a nicer area than Fallon Lane, which I know. Here is the actual Fallon Lane house. And then, hey, this one on Bartley. So we'll grab those 3 listings. And then we're just going to go click here to view the selected properties. So the cool part about this CMA is you could then go through and make notes about each property, about how it compares or doesn't compare. Sometimes you'll be looking at a 2-story property to be your listing, and you got a single story. And it's important to note the differences in those. Now, generally, just to be honest with you, I don't write anything in here, but you may want to because that's the way you want to do your business, and we can all be different. And then you just click here to create the CMA. It's going to ask you for a low and a high. And I know that house on Fallon Lane is updated and things have been done to the house because I talked to them in my pre-listing conversation. And so then I want to provide a range. Here's the deal. This is a mistake I see a lot of agents make, is that they pinpoint the price and don't give any room for negotiating. So different agents do it in different ways. I like to do this even before I go to the house because it gives me a lot of opportunity to create range. Now some agents will go to the house first and then they'll come back and do their CMA and then go back out and do the listing. I try to do it all in one fell swoop. Yeah. But that's you and your business and figure out how to do it. So on this, I know about the house already. I know what the comps in the neighborhood are. So I'll maybe do some math at looking at the price per square foot, the lowest price per square foot, times by the square footage, and kind of get a low end. And then the highest price per square foot, do the times the square footage and put a number in. Or I might just, knowing the area, I might just kind of give a general idea and range of where the property lands. Either way, knowing the market is important, and you've got to do your homework to come up with your number. But I generally will do a nice wide number that's anywhere from between $50,000 and $70,000 in range. And so I might come in here and I might say that the property is worth $450,000 to $500,000. Right? And then normally what I'll do is we could write a lot of stuff here, but I'll just write, we'll discuss in person, so that I can just talk with them. Now, it was only really one time that happened that I went to a house and the house square footage and the house pricing far exceeded any number I had put down. So I said, I need to throw this away and get back to work. And that's okay to do. It's important to get things right. But I usually put my range in here, and what I tell them is 450 is a low range. This is if the house needed some work. 500 is like Chip and Joanna Gaines. Perfect. Let's get it on the House Hunters. Let's get it on Flip or Flop, and this is the right house. It's the best house. All right, nothing to be done to it. It's got a pool. It's got all the right countertops and new cabinets and all that stuff. And then I usually will say your house is probably a little bit more in the middle. And in the listing, actual interview, when I'm sitting there in front of them with my CMA, I usually whittle my range down from maybe a $50,000 range, then I bring it to a $20,000 range. And I say, really, your house is worth like $465 to $485. But here's the deal, I always say to them, but you get to make the decision on what we list your house for. I provide the information, you get to make the decisions. Does that make sense? So I'll put a range in there, and then I'll say save the CMA. Click this last button to save it all. I'm going to go ahead and call this 9-20-20, and I hit create. And this saves the template, so now I'll have a new template to draw from every time I go back and get ready to recreate it. So if I put in new stuff for my letter to them in there, it's now saved in there, and I don't have to rewrite it again. I can maybe make edits to it to make it specific for that seller, if you get my drift. And then I just click view my completed presentation, and what it does is it compiles everything I've done into a nice presentation that looks like this. Let me see if I can make that a little bit bigger for you to see. And so it's got a nice cover. There's my letter. I'll sign it with a pen after I print it, and everything's there. I come down. I can talk about the family, the Zagaris family. I can talk about my family. I can talk about what a CMA is, and here is the actual CMA that they could do. Now, here's the deal. There's really 5 things you're talking about when you have a listing appointment, and they're all contained within this CMA. I'm going to go ahead and shut this down. The main 5 things that you're talking about is you're talking about PMZ and what PMZ can do for them. Hey, PMZ is a company with 650 residential agents. You're not just hiring me, you're hiring a team behind me, right? So you're not a solo agent out there trying to do it. You've got a bunch of people behind you. Number 2. What's number 2? It's about you, who you are, and what you can bring to the table. You're talking to them about the market and what's happening in the real estate market. You're talking about their home, and you're going to talk to them about how you're going to market their home, right? So that's the 5 things you're going to talk about. And those are super important to remember. And then lastly, you can throw in, we're going to talk about getting it listed. So when you sit down, you just tell them what you're going to do and why you're there, and you let that be known. So that's how you create the CMA. So the first thing you do is you do that property questionnaire. Then you get on those tax records and you check it out. You do the CMA. And then I've got another thing that I utilize that I included on the Dropbox link. This is not something that you have to use, but it's something that I use and I find great benefit from it. It's called the seller binder right here. This seller binder is all about them and me and who I am and what I can do for them. And if you this is there for your benefit, that you could go take them through and you can morph it into who you are. But this selling process page and this 30-day escrow page are my 2 favorite pages in the binder. One of the things I often say when I sit down with my friends to list our property is I say, information brings clarity, and clarity helps make great decisions. I tell them, I don't want to just pull you around and tell you what to do. I want to provide great information that will provide great clarity and help you make great decisions. So figure out a way to say that in you language and utilize that, and I think you'll have great success in it. But that's there for you to take a look at. I think it's great. I bind it and take it to them and leave it for them so they can look through it. And I do go through it with them. So that's that. Once I did all that done, I go into my real estate forms like I talked about before. I think I'm going back. There we go. So we have the real estate forms that we can get into, and I get into my car forms like we talked about before, And you can go back and watch that lesson if you missed it. But I'm going to go into my car forms and I'm going to get everything I need for the listing. And what I'm going to do once I've gone into car forms and I've done all of that is I'm going to highlight. Here's the car forms. You go into here. I'm going to highlight where I need them to sign. I'm going to fill out their address in there already. It's going to be pre-filled out for when I go to meet with them. I'm going to put the APN number on there. I'm going to put my commission on there and all that stuff. And I'm going to get it all ready for them so that when they say, we're ready to go with you, Josh, I just have to point to the highlighted stuff, talk them through it, and get them to sign the documents. I want to be ready. Even if I go there and there's nothing happens that day, I want to be ready, because the worst thing that would happen it would be for them to say, I'm ready to list it, and me not be prepared. A prepared agent is an agent who's going to do business. If we're not prepared, we're not going to be doing the business. Somebody else is going to do it for us. So once you've done that and you've got your listing signed, then you come back to the office and you load it into SkySlope, you load it on the Metro List, and then, hey, you order a sign to be put in the yard. You get professional pictures done for it. Or you take the pictures yourself if that's you. You're going to maybe order your client a gift to say thank you for listing your property with me. And man, it's going to be great. You get all the MLS stuff together, you make sure everything's correct, and you list your property out there for sale, and you start taking and receiving phone calls for people to come and check it out. So what do? You follow those little steps, and you get your property, your client's property listed for them, get it on the market, and market sold. Of course, you're going to have to do disclosures. Those are all on those real estate forms as well that I talked about right here. All the disclosures that are needed, you need those filled out and signed. And we can talk about those more. You can go back and look at that class I did on real estate forms and check it out. But that is what happens when somebody calls you and says, Josh, I want you to list my house. Have a great day. Hope this was helpful. Feel free to leave comments below on what part of the video you liked more. And don't forget to join me on Friday for our Zoom meetup, so that I can answer any questions that you might have. Have a great day. Bye-bye.